Town by Eneriko Seruma. The park is too crowded today. I wish I could afford to stay in bed on Saturdays, the taxi driver said as he stopped the car in the Nakivubo car park, his eyes wandering over the crowd. But of course, the more crowded it is, the more money there is to be earned, he added, laughing to himself. None of his passengers said anything. He had had a quiet load this run. His caller started calling out for new passengers in a quick, hoarse voice. Passengers for Wandegenya, Makerere, Boise, Kawempe, this way please, Makerere, Wandegenya, and on and on. His voice faded as he moved among the crowd. The passengers got out of the cab, handing the fare to the driver. Each passenger, except the last one, disappeared into the crowd as soon as the change was handed back. The last passenger, a man who was a villager, stood some feet away from the car and watched the distant caller. And they look like the town, he thought. Instead of owning a small place in the village and farming for a better living, look at what they do. How can a man spend all day barking like a crazy dog? He wondered how much the caller earned and walked over to the driver who was sitting in his car whistling to himself as he waited for passengers. How much does the caller earn? He asked the driver. 50 cents per carload. That's some money, you know. About 8, 9, maybe even 10 shillings a day. That's earned without any labor too. The man thanked the driver and moved away. Yes, he thought. That's the trouble with town people. They are always afraid of manual labor. They don't realize that because I dig from sunrise to midday, I can sell 5 to 6 bags of coffee for a lot of money and save because I don't have to buy food like they do. They spend all their money buying villagers' farm produce. He took his eyes from the caller and walked away, squeezing among people of all sorts. What a gathering of characters, he marveled. They're all like vultures over a carcass. The man wished he could shut off the noise of the crowd. It was maddening. Not even at weddings and feasts or even drinking parties had he heard so much noise. Everybody seemed to be shouting. The noise seemed as if a cloud was hanging over the park and was striking him with bolts of noise. Here, miss, over here, I have the latest style. Over here, good lady, I have the latest fashion. Natete, passengers for Natete, over here. Here's a real nice cab, over here, passengers, quick. It's so comfortable. It has a radio. Listen to your favorite songs as you go to Nakublabie. This one is faster. You'll be there in a few minutes. That is how they kill themselves, the driver thought, driving fast as if bees were chasing them. Like the driver who brought me, how fast he had been driving, with one hand. One is safer in buses these days. The man concluded his thoughts about the fast cars, and as other shouts hit his exhausted ears. Handkerchiefs, only 40 cents. 2 for 80 cents. From your shilling, you'll be left with 20 cents for peanuts and popcorn. 2 handkerchiefs for and on and on and on. Here, my lord, here. Pure woolen trousers for only 35 shillings. Only 35 shillings. Cheaper than the Asian shops. Here, my lord, blah, 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 and on and on. Katwe, Kibuye, Naja, passengers for Katwe and Kibuye. The bus has just left, so don't miss the chance for a faster arrival. Katwe, Kibuye, and on and on and on. The villager stood and stared in wonderment. This is too much to believe. Do these men wake up in the morning to tell their wives they're going to work? Look at them, all shouting their heads off. What a way to earn a living. He shook his head at the men who rushed at him with yards of clothes on their arms. There were so many of them. How can they make money with such competition? He looked out in the distance. All he could see were heads that bobbed and mouths that shouted. Here and there were some unfortunate travelers caught in a competition between callers who were each shouting the experience of the driver they were working for. The poor travelers stood between them with worried looks on their faces, like prisoners standing in court while the defender and the prosecutor battled over their fate. Some travelers caught between clothes sellers were entangled in rolls of clothes as the sellers showed off the quality of their materials. The man turned his head and looked at the road and the entrance to the park. There was a traffic jam of cabs as they turned off the main street to enter the park. Horns hooted from cars that were full of impatient, bewildered people who stared out of the windows just like the monkeys that stared at the man every morning he went digging. Some of the passengers got out of the cars and walked the rest of the way, dwarfing the cabs that were mostly the small cars the villagers called tortoises, but which the town people called Volkswagens, were the double-decker buses that had both decks full of people going to all corners of Kampala city. The bus depot was opposite the taxi park. The man could see people lining the platforms and others scrambling to get into the buses. How man does produce, the man wondered. What thousands and thousands of people, one would think that there are no people left in their homes. His heart missed a beat as he saw a young man run beside a bus and jump onto it. The fool, he thought, remembering the man he once saw who missed when he tried to jump and got run over by the bus. Why are town people always in haste, he wondered. Is it because they are living and working with the white people who always hurry as they are afraid they won't make it to the outhouse? Here you all people, here, a voice interrupted the man's thoughts. This is your chance to buy this incredible medicine. If your wife is unfaithful, if you are troubled by spirits, if your children are always sick, if you are impotent, if girls don't fall for you, if you have constant headache, stomachache, mumps, dizziness, if you want to pass your exams successfully, everything, ladies and gentlemen, anything you want to get rid of, this is the medicine. Buy this medicine, this rare mumbwa, and everything will be better. The villager looked towards the clear, booming voice. That is some strong medicine, he thought to himself, curing all those ailments. Wow, I wonder if it is just another way for the town people to earn money, or whether it is true. He walked over to where the medicine seller was sitting on a leopard skin with all kinds of assortments laid out in front of him. Everything that looked odd seemed to be there, from living things like an eagle, a hawk, a snake, a rabbit, and other little animals, to dead things like a hyena, an antelope, and a jackal. Yes, the medicine seller was looking at him. He had bloodshot eyes that never seemed to blink. You, are you talking about Mbwa? Yes. Are you impotent? The medicine seller asked. Is your wife running away? Are you troubled by your in-laws? Or are you after your neighbor's wife? She will be yours tonight if you buy this Mbwa. But perhaps you have spirits of your grandparents disagreeing with you the way you are spreading the family fortune, huh? Oh, I know. You'd like to win over one of these white things clinging around the city, wouldn't you? Huh? No, sir. White girls are for students at Makerere, not for people like me. They don't know how to bend their backs to cultivate. How can I, a farmer, have a wife who doesn't dig? No. All I wanted, you see, sir, I have a lot of trouble with burglars, I thought. Oh, yes, of course. Yes, my friend, the medicine seller said with a smile. This is the medicine for your troubles. Buy this and you are rid of them. If they ever... The medicine seller stopped suddenly and cocked his head to one side. Then he sprang up with surprising speed and started running. Everybody was running and shouting except the villager, who stood there staring stupidly at the place where the medicine seller had been sitting. What is happening? He asked himself. Run! Everyone run! Tax! Tax raid! Everyone run! Run, everybody! It is the entire blasted police force. The villagers started running. There were so many people. He kept bumping into fear-crazed people who seemed blind and unable to distinguish men from women. The noise cloud seemed to have burst into ear-splitting fragments that whistled shrilly and shouted and cried hysterically. Among the crowd, the villager could see the khaki uniforms of the policemen as they spread their huge arms wide apart to stop the fleeing tax defaulters. The villager ran because he had not paid his annual tax yet. What lousy luck, he thought as he jumped over abandoned spreads of merchandise. For 4 days, the police had chosen to raid on this one when he was in town. Back in the village, he could always avoid less experienced village chiefs and his helpers. But here, with white officers commanding the policemen, they came so swiftly and silently like a dark cloud engulfing the sun. One never knew what was happening until the whole park was surrounded by policemen. They surrounded the park first and then brought in more truckloads of policemen armed with short, effective clubs. End of the town by Eneriko.